Okay, we've got some mail. Well, it's not really mail in the sense of viewer mail. It's an incoming shipment from a local auction house. And that's one of the ways I sort. COVID pretty much pushed all the auction houses online. And here in the greater Puget Sound area, the majority of them are over towards Seattle. In fact, we went over yesterday south of Seattle to pick up 42 lots that we had won this last month. But this particular one came from a bit further away. If I were to drive up to get this box from this auction house, it'd take me about 3 to 4 hours to drive there. And with the price of gas being what it is, sometimes depending on how many lots they have that I'm interested in, it's easier to have them mail. This particular package, even though it's fairly good size, you can see it there next to my coffee cup, came out at 9 pounds, was shipped by UPS, and that's a lot cheaper than the fuel it would take to drive my truck 4 hours over and 4 hours back. And those are one of the decisions, or a group of decisions, you have to evaluate as you source, especially if you live in a rural area. So we get a chance, I'll get a knife, we'll open that up, and we'll take a look at what came in the package. Now, for most of my life, I've used utility knives. This is the type I've settled on the last few years since it was created. Let me show it to you. There we go. Takes the same type of blade as a solid non-folding utility knife. They're replaceable. They're cheap. I like these because I can carry one around in my pocket when I'm on the road, and folded up, they're a lot safer than the ones with the sliding button. I don't know how many times I've watched YouTube content creators on the road, and they're using everything from scissors to their keys to open boxes. But these are inexpensive. The blades change, and I'd suggest everybody get them. I keep them in all the vehicles, keep them in all the buildings, and in my case, I don't think I've ever bought one new. I simply kept them as we used to empty storage units, and every time I'd find one in a toolbox, I'd make it a business asset. So anyway, let me cut this open. Put an extra piece of cardboard in near the top so that when the box is being sliced open, you don't cut the product. That's a great way to end up with an INAD. If the buyer receives the item, slices it carelessly, damages the product, they'll then could say, item arrived damaged, I want a return. Item is not as described because it has a tear in it or a cut. I want to return it, and I want you to pay the shipping. INADs are one of the challenges on eBay, but of course, a little extra care in packing. Oh, she does. Now this box could have been shortened considerably, and probably saved me a little bit of money on the shipping. Sometimes it doesn't really matter, because if you're in between a given pound or you don't go over the next size increment, you don't incur an extra charge. But it does mean you're including more packing than you need to. In this case, here's some bubble, here's some paper. Now I'll reuse that paper if I don't destroy it. Oh, look at that. That's an empty box that was used as void fill. This box could have been cut down by half. So shipping is one of those things that every reseller needs to learn. There are a lot of ways to do it right. The only real way to do it wrong is to have the item arrive broken, damaged, or generate a return simply because it was packed badly. Let me go ahead and do some unwrapping of these items, and then I'll show you what came in this auction box. Okay, so we emptied the box itself, and if you look, you'll see here's some old collectible wind-up motorcycle. Here are a couple of stamped vehicles. They were one lot, those two cars. Here's the wheel bearing cover from an old Hudson automobile. A couple of gnomes. Gnomes are a favorite of my wife. Here's a game. It's a Lego game. Now this is an open game. I'll have to see if all the pieces are there, and that's one of the things about buying games. And of course, here's an old car. Hopefully it's also in good shape. It pops up a little bit. You can see it there. Again, it's one of the old mechanical cars. Now, not a lot. Only, let's see, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lots. So I'd have to take what I paid for shipping and add that to the cost I paid for the items during the auction and divide them by the number, and you can do the math a few different ways, but it gives me my baseline cost for those items. We'll take a look a little bit later at some of the paperwork and show what I actually paid for that box that came in. That's always good to have a breakdown. I personally believe 1 or 2 good examples is a lot better than a talking head just going on and on about how if you do this, you'll make some money doing that. I think it's a lot better to evaluate it in the real world and show that but not all those items that came out of that box this morning will be sold on eBay. The truth of the matter is, when you're buying off of online auctions and you're buying from photographs and descriptions, you don't always get what you expect. For instance, the little wind-up motorcycle. They showed the key, they showed the motorcycle, but until you've got it in your hand, you don't really know whether the key fits the motorcycle. And if that's not an original key to go with an original tin toy, your value just dropped. So it's not unusual if you play in the business this way using online auctions to find out that you overbid.
That was easy.